The rain-slicked streets of Manhattan gleamed like shattered glass under the sodium lamps as Nicholas slammed the cab door, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. He shouldn't have come. Shouldn't have let that grinder ping drag him out into the storm, but the photo had hooked him. Tousled dark hair, a jawline sharp enough to cut diamonds, and eyes that promised secrets worth drowning for. Now, standing drenched outside the anonymous brownstone in Chelsea, he wondered if this was the night he'd finally chase away the ghosts of every half-hearted fling that had left him emptier than before. The door buzzed open before he could second-guess, and there he was, Andrew, broader in person, his white t-shirt clinging to the ridges of his chest from the humidity, a crooked smile cracking the tension like lightning. "You look like you swam here," Andrew said. His voice a low rumble that vibrated through Nicholas's soaked bones, pulling him inside with a hand on his elbow that lingered just a beat too long. Nicholas laughed, shaking water from his curls. But inside, something twisted. This wasn't lust at first sight. It was recognition, like spotting a long-lost brother in a crowd of strangers. They tumbled into the dim loft, all exposed brick and forgotten vinyl records stacked like tombstones against the walls. The city's hum a distant lullaby through the fire escape. Andrew poured bourbon neat, the amber liquid catching the flicker of a single desk lamp. And they talked, God, did they talk, skipping the small stuff for the marrow. Andrew was an architect from upstate, escaping the chokehold of family expectations in Syracuse for the anonymity of New York weekends. "They think I'm here closing deals," he confessed, clinking glasses, his knee brushing Nicholas's under the coffee table. "Truth is, I'm building nothing but regrets back home." Nicholas leaned in, the alcohol warming the edges of his caution. He was a barista by day, aspiring playwright by the endless nights spent scribbling in notebooks stained with espresso and unspoken aches. "Family's a bitch," he replied, his voice steady despite the spark igniting where their thighs touched. "Mine shipped me off to boarding school when they caught me with the stable boy. Said it was for my education. Code for exorcism." Andrew's eyes darkened, not with pity, but hunger, a shared wound that made the air between them electric. Their first kiss tasted like smoke and confession, Andrew's hands framing Nicholas's face as if he were a blueprint Andrew had been drafting in secret for years. What started as a hookup blurred into dawn. Bodies entwined on sheets that smelled of fresh laundry and faint cologne, whispers weaving through the sweat-slicked hours. Andrew traced the freckles across Nicholas's shoulders like constellations, murmuring, "You're a story I didn't know I needed to read." Nicholas arched into him, gasping truths he'd buried. The ex who ghosted after coming out, the plays rejected for being too queer for the heartland. By morning, the rain had cleared, sunlight slicing through the blinds like accusatory fingers, and Andrew didn't bolt. Instead, he brewed coffee strong enough to wake the dead, and they lingered, feet tangled under the kitchen island, planning a walk through the High Line as if this were the beginning, not a detour. But detours have destinations. Andrew's phone buzzed relentlessly by noon, a symphony of ignored notifications that finally shattered the bubble. "Family shit," he muttered, silencing it with a swipe. But Nicholas caught the preview. "Cousin Emily's rehearsal dinner. Don't flake. Andy." Andrew's jaw tightened, a shadow crossing his features like a cloud devouring the sun. "It's nothing. Old money from back home, expectations like chains." Nicholas nodded, but the seed of doubt took root, a thorny vine curling in his gut. Still, when Andrew pulled him close again, promising, "This? Us, that's real," Nicholas let himself believe, Because in the brutal calculus of city loneliness, real was rarer than a rent-controlled walk-up. They spent the afternoon wandering the elevated park. Wildflowers nodding in the breeze off the Hudson. Andrew's arm slung casual around Nicholas's waist when no one was looking. Stolen intimacies that felt like rebellion. At a food truck, Andrew fed him a falafel bite, laughing when tahini dripped on Nicholas's chin, wiping it away with his thumb in a gesture so tender it ached. "What if we ran with this?" Nicholas ventured, heart in his throat, as they leaned on the railing overlooking the glittering traffic below. Andrew's gaze turned distant, toward the Jersey skyline, then back, fierce. "I want that. More than you know." But his phone buzzed again, insistent as a heartbeat, and this time, he answered, voice dropping to a murmur. "Yeah. I'll be there. Promise." That evening, as Nicholas dressed to leave, his own shift looming at the corner cafe, Andrew caught his wrist, pulling him into a kiss that bruised with desperation. "Come back tonight," Andrew breathed against his lips. "We'll figure it out." Nicholas nodded, floating home on the subway, replaying every touch, every word, scribbling feverish notes in his journal about a love that felt scripted by the muses themselves. But as the doors hissed shut, Andrew's silhouette faded into the crowd, and Nicholas couldn't shake the echo of that cousin's name, a whisper of complication in the roar of the rails. The next week blurred into a haze of stolen moments, late-night texts that lit up Nicholas's phone like fireflies, Andrew sneaking away from business trips to crash at the loft, their bodies mapping each other with increasing reverence. Nicholas introduced him to his ragtag theater friends at a dive bar in the East Village, Andrew charming them with tales of upstate barns turned lofts, his hand finding Nicholas's under the table, fingers interlaced like lifelines. "He's a keeper," his friend Mia Stage whispered later, elbowing Nicholas. "Don't fuck it up." But it was Andrew who pulled back first. Excuses piling like autumn leaves. Family calls, sudden deadlines, a weekend vanishing into wedding prep for that cousin, Emily. Nicholas ignored the red flags, chalking it up to the push-pull of new love. But doubt gnawed deeper during their solitary nights. One evening, alone in the loft Andrew had sublet for his escapes, Nicholas rifled through a forgotten drawer, old photos spilling out like accusations. There was Andrew, younger, arm in arm with a radiant woman at a lake house, her laughter frozen in emulsion. Emily, the caption read. Cousin, but family. Another shot, them at a holiday table, Andrew's smile strained, her hand on his knee. Nicholas's stomach churned, not jealousy, but a premonition, the kind that chills sweat in summer heat. When Andrew returned, reeking of train coffee and regret, Nicholas confronted him gently, photos splayed on the bed like evidence in a trial. Who's she? Really? Andrew deflated, sinking beside him, head in hands. Emily's. Everything back home. Grew up together, thick as thieves. Our families go way back, old Syracuse bloodlines, the kind that marry to keep the estates intact. He looked up, eyes pleading. But it's not like that. Not for me. I love you, Nick. This city's shown me what I've been missing. They made love then, fierce and forgiving. Andrew's vows murmured into Nicholas's skin like incantations. Yet, as Nicholas drifted to sleep, Andrew's phone lit up once more. Rehearsal tomorrow. Be my best man, love. The wedding loomed like a guillotine, Andrew's absences stretching into days, then a week. Nicholas threw himself into his plays, typing furiously in coffee-fueled marathons, channeling the ache into monologues about forbidden desires and fractured families. His latest script, Echoes in the Attic, poured out, a queer architect torn between blueprint dreams and blood oaths, his lover a playwright scripting their escape. Mia read the draft over cheap wine, eyes wide. This is gold, but it's killing you. Talk to him. Nicholas waved it off. But the truth, Claude. Love shouldn't feel like auditioning for a role you might never land. Finally, Andrew called, voice cracking through static. I need you here. Syracuse. The wedding's this weekend, and I can't do it without you. Nicholas's pulse raced. Hope, terror, a cocktail of both. As what? You're +1. Silence stretched. Then Andrew's whisper. As my anchor. Please. Against every instinct screaming trap. Nicholas booked the bus ticket, packing his notebook like armor, telling himself this was the pivot, the scene where the lovers rewrite the ending. The Greyhound rumbled north through autumnal blaze, leaves aflame in shades of regret, Nicholas's reflection in the window a ghost of resolve. Syracuse greeted him with crisp air and the scent of wood smoke. Andrew waiting at the depot in a wool coat, hugging him tight enough to crack ribs. You came, Andrew breathed, as if it were miracle. They drove to the family estate, a sprawling Victorian on Skaneateles Lake, gables piercing the twilight like accusations. It's temporary, Andrew assured, hand on Nicholas's thigh as they crunched up the gravel drive. After this, we go back to New York. Together, inside, the house swallowed them. Crystal chandeliers dripping light, portraits of stern ancestors glaring from oak-paneled walls. Emily swept in then, a vision in emerald silk, her embrace for Andrew warm, lingering. Andy, and this must be. Her eyes flicked to Nicholas, polite curiosity masking something sharper. Nicholas, friend from the city, Andrew supplied, voice steady but knuckles white on his glass of sherry. Dinner was a minefield. Aunts cooing over place settings, uncles toasting the union that seals our legacy. Emily's laughter a melody that set Nicholas's teeth on edge. Under the table, Andrew's foot nudged his, a Morse code of solidarity, but when Emily leaned into Andrew, whispering about vows, Nicholas excused himself, fleeing to the lakeside porch where the water lapped like unanswered questions. Andrew found him there, slipping out with 2 fingers of scotch. It's all performance, he said, wrapping Nicholas in his coat against the chill. Tomorrow's the rehearsal, then it's over. Emily knows about us. She's cool, just playing the part for the folks. Nicholas searched his face, wanting to believe. And after, you walk away clean. Andrew pulled him close, lips brushing his temple. With you. Always. They kissed there, under the harvest moon, the estate's windows glowing like judgmental eyes, and for a moment, Nicholas tasted forever. But forever's fracture. The rehearsal dinner unfolded in the grand hall, fairy lights twinkling like false stars, Emily radiant in lace as she practiced her walk down the flower-strewn aisle toward a stand-in groom. Andrew stood beside her as best man, script in hand, his smile a mask that didn't reach his eyes. Nicholas hovered at the periphery, a ghost among the kinfolk, nursing a gin and tonic that burned less than the scene. When Emily turned to Andrew during the mock vows, in sickness and health, till death do us part, Her voice trembled. Real? And Andrew's response caught. I. We. The room chuckled, assuming nerves, but Nicholas saw the crack, the abyss yawning. Later, in the guest wing, Andrew cornered him, frantic. It's not what you think. The families. They've leveraged everything. The firm, the house. It's all tied to this merger of bloodlines. Nicholas's blood ran cold. Merger? She's your cousin, Andrew. This isn't business. It's a goddamn cage. Andrew recoiled, then surged forward, gripping Nicholas's shirt. I know, but if I bail, they disown me, leave me with nothing. Give me time. After the ceremony, I'll... Nicholas shoved him back, voice breaking. Time? You've had weeks. Months. This isn't love. It's cowardice. The door slammed like a guillotine, leaving Andrew in the echo, Nicholas stumbling into the night, the lake's black mirror reflecting his shattered reflection. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving over Skaneatles, the estate stirring like a beast rousing from slumber. Nicholas hadn't slept, pacing the frost-laced gazebo until his fingers numbed, replaying Andrew's pleas like a looped reel in his mind. Leverage. The word slithered through him, oily and American as a Wall Street bailout, families hoarding power through matrimony, queerness a luxury they couldn't afford. He thought of his own kin, the cold letters from Ohio after his coming out. Pray for guidance, son. No leverage there, just abandonment. Andrew had more to lose, perhaps, but love wasn't a ledger. It was a leap. By breakfast, the house buzzed with florists and caterers, Emily's bridesmaids flitting like pastel hummingbirds. Nicholas avoided the fray, holing up in the library with a dog-eared copy of The Great Gatsby, irony thick as the dust on its spine. Whispers from the hall seeped through. Andy's so devoted, one aunt sighed. Emily's lucky. Nicholas slammed the book shut, the crack echoing his resolve. He wouldn't watch this farce. He'd slip away on the first bus south, script his own exit before the curtain fell. But Andrew found him, slipping into the room like a thief, door clicking soft. Nick, please. Hear me out. His eyes were red-rimmed, suit half-buttoned, tie askew, a disheveled Adonis begging absolution. Nicholas crossed his arms, fortress against the tide. What's left to say? You're selling your soul for a deed to the lake house. Andrew winced, stepping closer, voice a ragged whisper. It's not the house. It's them. Mom's cancer bills piling up, Dad's firm on the brink. Emily's family's bailing them out with this alliance. If I walk, they drown. He reached for Nicholas's hand, calluses from drafting tables rough against his palm. But I can't lose you. Marry in name, divorce in a year. We'll run to New York, build something real. Nicholas yanked away, laughter bitter as bile. Name only? That's your grand escape? I've seen that play, ends with the queer side piece in the gutter, villainized in family lore. Andrew's face crumpled, and for a heartbeat, Nicholas softened, pulling him into an embrace that smelled of starch and sorrow. I love you, Andrew murmured into his neck. That's the real leverage. They clung there, the library's silence a confessional, until a knock shattered it. Emily, peeking in with a tentative smile. Andy? Vows practice. Andrew pulled back, composing himself, but his glance at Nicholas lingered, a lifeline fraying. The ceremony site transformed the estate's chapel into a jewel box. Stained glass fracturing light into rainbows over pews of polished mahogany. Lilies perfuming the air with cloying sweetness. Nicholas positioned himself at the back, half hidden behind a marble pillar, telling himself this was reconnaissance, not masochism. Guests filed in, silver-haired dowagers in pearls, cousins in Brooks Brothers, all murmuring approvals at the perfect match. Andrew took his place at the altar, best man stance rigid, eyes scanning the crowd until they locked on Nicholas. A nod, infinitesimal stay, and Nicholas's resolve cracked, rooting him to the spot. The organ swelled, Bach's aria swelling like a heart too full, and Emily appeared at the nave, arm looped through her father's, veil a gossamer shroud. She was beautiful, undeniably porcelain skin, auburn waves cascading, the gown a cascade of ivory silk that whispered with each step. But it was Andrew's face that gutted Nicholas. As she approached, his expression shifted from stoic to something tender, historical, a brother's affection twisted by circumstance into something the world could swallow. Emily reached him, and they turned to the officiant, hands joining like puzzle pieces forced to fit. The vows began, the priest's voice booming, "Andrew, do you take Emily?" Nicholas tuned it out, focusing on the play of light on Andrew's profile, the boy who'd kissed him under city stars now pledging eternity to kin. Just words, Nicholas chanted inwardly, but when Andrew spoke, "I do," the syllables landed like bullets, each one tearing fresh wounds. Emily's "I do" followed, soft and sure, her eyes shining on Andrew with a devotion that mirrored his own buried gaze. Rings exchanged, a glint of gold sealing the pact, and then the kiss, chaste, obligatory, yet Emily lingered, her hand cupping his cheek as if memorizing him. Applause erupted, a thunderclap of congratulations, and Nicholas bolted, weaving through the throng toward the vestibule, chest heaving like he'd run a marathon. Outside, the autumn wind whipped lake scent across his face, carrying laughter from the receiving line. He fumbled for his phone, thumb hovering over the rideshare app, escape. Now, when Andrew's voice sliced through, "Nick, wait," he spun, and there was Andrew, tux unrumpled, expression a storm. "You saw." "I had to." Nicholas's laugh was hollow. "Had to? That's your line? I came here thinking we'd fight for us, not watch you auction off your heart." Andrew grabbed his arm, pulling him into the chapel's shadowed cloister, away from prying eyes. "It's not auctioned. It's borrowed. 1 year. Tops. Emily knows. She's in on it, covering for me so I can." His voice trailed, the lie too flimsy even for him. Nicholas wrenched free, eyes burning. "Covering? We're competing." I saw her look. "Andrew. That's not sisterly. That's love she thinks she can claim." Andrew recoiled as if slapped. "Emily's family. Always has been. But you're my choice." Desperation laced his words, and he surged forward, kissing Nicholas hard against the stone wall, a clash of teeth and tears, hands fisting in lapels. For a suspended second, Nicholas melted, tasting the bourbon salt of betrayal, but reality crashed back, the chapel doors swinging open, guests spilling out like confetti. He shoved Andrew away, gasping. "Choice? Prove it. Walk away now. Tell them all." Andrew froze, gaze darting to the crowd, his mother's frail wave, Emily's radiant beam, then back, pleading. "I can't." Not yet. Give me. Nicholas's palm connected with his cheek, a sharp crack that echoed off the arches. Time's the thief. Andrew. You've given it enough. He turned, striding into the woods flanking the estate, branches clawing like accusations, leaving Andrew kneeling in the leaves, tuck-soiled, the weight of his I do crushing him to the earth. The path twisted through maples shedding crimson regrets, Nicholas's breaths ragged sobs tearing from his throat. He collapsed on a felled log, notebook spilling from his coat, pages fluttering like wounded birds. Feverishly, he wrote, "The architect builds walls, not bridges, the playwright scripts soliloquies for the damned." Ink blurred with tears, the words a purge, exorcising the love that had bloomed so briefly, so brutally. Hours passed, or minutes, the woods a timeless limbo, until footsteps crunched, and Emily emerged from the underbrush, veil discarded, gown hitched for the trek. Nicholas, her voice was gentle, not accusatory, as she perched beside him, offering a lace handkerchief. He eyed it warily, but took it, dabbing his face. "How'd you find me?" She smiled faintly, said, "Andrew's not subtle. He pointed me this way after you." Left, silence stretched, companionable in its ache. "He loves you, you know," she said finally, plucking a leaf from her hem. "More than the deal, more than any of this farce. But family's a hydra, cut one head, two grow back." Nicholas snorted, bitter. "And you're the prize? Cousin or not? This is twisted." Emily's laugh was wry. "Twisted's right. We were kids playing house. Now it's contracts. I don't love him like that. Not anymore. But I love him enough to save him from drowning alone." She stood, brushing dirt from her skirts. "Go back to the city. He'll follow when he can breathe." Nicholas shook his head. "Breathing's overrated when your lungs are full of lies." Emily squeezed his shoulder, a sisterly gesture that stung. "Then write the truth. That's your power." She vanished into the trees, leaving Nicholas with the handkerchief monogrammed EM, embroidered thorns around the edges. Dusk fell as he trudged to the main road, thumb out for a lift, the estate's lights twinkling farewell like distant stars. A pickup rattled to a stop, grizzled farmer nodding him in, radio crooning Johnny Cash about walking the line. Nicholas leaned against the window, Syracuse fading in the rearview, his heart a hollowed log echoing with what-ifs. Back in Manhattan, the loft waited empty, Andrew's cologne lingering like a ghost. But Nicholas burned the photos that night, ashes swirling in the sink as rain lashed the panes anew. Weeks bled into months, the city a grindstone sharpening Nicholas's edges. His play echoes in the attic found a small off-Broadway home, readings drawing queer crowds who wept at the architect's betrayal, the playwright's flight. Mia toasted opening night with shots of tequila. To turning pain into art. "Babe," Nicholas smiled, genuine for the first time since the lake. But solitude crept in after the applause faded. Nights scrolling Grindr out of habit, then deleting it in disgust, vowing no more half measures. Andrew's texts trickled at first. "Miss you." This held up. Then flooded. Photos of half-finished blueprints scrawled with N in the margins. Voice memos cracking with "I fucked up." Nicholas read them in the dead of night, thumb tracing the screen, but replies stayed unsent, bottled like ships in glass. Betrayal wasn't a door slammed. It was a slow bleed, trust hemorrhaging until only scar tissue remained. One message pierced. Emily suspects. Fights every night. Divorce papers drafting. Nicholas's finger hovered. Forgive? Forget. But hit delete. The void swallowing it whole. Spring thawed the city. Cherry blossoms carpeting Washington Square like confetti from a cancelled wedding. Nicholas buskied readings there on weekends, drawing a following of dreamers and drifters, his voice weaving tales of love's labyrinths. One afternoon, as he closed with a monologue on mended fractures, applause rippled, and there, in the crowd's fringe, was Andrew, thinner, eyes hollowed by winter's toll, clutching a single daisy like contrition. Andrew approached slow, as if Nicholas were a skittish doe in the park's undergrowth, the daisy twirling in his fingers like a fragile truce flag. That was you, he said, voice rough from disuse, or perhaps the weight of words unsaid. Nicholas froze, script clutched like a shield, the crowd dispersing around them like smoke. Close, Andrew looked wrecked, stubble shadowing his jaw, suit jacket rumpled over a faded band tee, the architect's precision eroded by entropy. Heard it was running. Had to see. Nicholas's pulse thrummed, a betrayal of his body's memory. But he held ground, chin lifted. See? Or gawk at the wreckage you left. The barb landed, Andrew flinching, but he didn't retreat. Fair. I deserve that. All of it. He extended the daisy, petals trembling in the breeze. Not forgiveness. Just a start. Nicholas eyed it, the flower's simplicity a mockery of their tangled knot, then snatched it, twirling it absently. Starts imply endings. Andrew. Ours ended on that chapel floor. They walked then, unspoken pact, weaving through jugglers and buskers, the square's chaos a buffer against the quiet storm between them. Andrew spoke first, halting. The months since as a slow unraveling, nights in the marital bed staring at the ceiling, Emily's sobs echoing from the guest room, family dinners laced with veiled threats. It's a prison, he admitted, kicking a pebble into the fountain. Paper walls, but they hold. Emily filed last week quietly. Says she can't watch me die inside. Nicholas halted, surprise cracking his armor. She let you go. Andrew nodded. I always was the brave one. Knew about us from the start. Thought the marriage would fix me. It didn't. The admission hung, heavy as humidity, and Nicholas felt the old pull, the urge to fold into him, rewrite the script. But scars itched, reminders of the slap, the flight. And now, what? You show up with a weed and expect Act 2. Andrew stopped, turning to face him, eyes raw. No expectations. Just truth. I chose wrong. Chose fear over you. But every blueprint since has got your lines in it, curves I learned from your body, angles from your laugh. He pulled a folded paper from his pocket. A sketch. A loft edition. Skyline view. 2 chairs on a balcony facing the dawn. For us, scrawled in the corner. Nicholas unfolded it, breath-catching, the design intimate, echoing their high-line dreams. Pretty picture, he murmured, folding it back. But pictures don't pay the rent on trust. Andrew's shoulders sagged, but he nodded. Then let me earn it. Coffee? No strings. Against the wisdom-screaming retreat. Nicholas agreed, and they slipped into a corner cafe, steam rising from mugs like unspoken prayers. Conversation flowed halting, Andrew's new freelance gigs. Nicholas's play reviews glowing in Time Out, sidestepping the chasm until Andrew ventured. Saw your opening. Front row. Cried like a fool. Nicholas stirred his latte. Foam swirling. Good. Means I nailed the pain. A beat. Then, why'd you really come back? Andrew leaned forward, elbows on scarred wood. Because losing you wasn't leverage. It was eviction. From myself. The words landed soft, sincere, and Nicholas felt the ice thaw, drip by drip. They parted with a hug, chaste, lingering. Andrew's whisper. Saturday? High line. Same spot. Nicholas nodded. Daisy tucked in his pocket like a talisman. Walking home with the sketch burning a hole in his coat. Rebuilding was no fairy tale. It was foundation work, trenchant and tedious. Saturdays became ritual. High-line strolls turning to rooftop picnics. Andrew's hands relearning boundaries. Fingers brushing, not grasping. Nicholas tested him, sharing play drafts laced with doubt. Watching Andrew devour them with annotations that honored, not overrode. This scene, Andrew said one night over takeout in the loft. The betrayal too pat. Make it Messier. Real. Nicholas arched a brow. Like us. Andrew's laugh was rueful. Exactly. Messy wins. Intimacy crept back slow. A tide, not a flood. A shared umbrella in spring showers. Andrew's head on Nicholas's lap during movie marathons. Silences comfortable as old jeans. But ghosts lingered. Andrew's flinches at family mentions. Nicholas's midnight scrolls through old texts. Temptation to bolt. One evening, after a reading where applause thundered, Andrew waited backstage with champagne, popping the cork like a gunshot. Proud of you, he toasted, clinking plastic flutes. Nicholas grinned, buzzed on adrenaline and Andrew's gaze. Stay for the after-party? Andrew hesitated. Then, only if it's just us. The loft that night hummed with possibility. Vinyl spinning Sinatra's croon as they danced. Awkward at first, then fluid. Bodies remembering rhythms. Andrew's hands settled on Nicholas's hips. Tentative. Tell me if it's too much. Nicholas pulled him closer, foreheads touching. It's not enough. The kiss ignited slow, embers to blaze, clothes shedding like shed skins, rediscovering freckles and scars under the loft's golden lamp. It wasn't frantic hookup heat. It was reclamation. Andrew's murmurs, mine. Sorry. Love weaving through gasps. Nicholas's nails raking paths of forgiveness. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Andrew traced Nicholas's spine. No more secrets? Nicholas murmured, drowsy. Swear it. Dawn found them entwined, the city awakening to their quiet vows. Yet conflict simmered beneath the mend. Andrew's family loomed, emissaries via mail, letters from his mother, frail script pleading reconciliation, veiled barbs at the city influence. Emily called once. Voice wry over speaker. Tell Andy to send the papers signed. And Nick, thanks for bringing him back to life. Nicholas warmed to her. The cousin not wife a bridge, not barrier. But Syracuse pulled, holidays approaching. A summons for Thanksgiving truce. Andrew agonized, pacing the loft. Go, Nicholas urged, stealing his heart. End it clean. I'll be here. Andrew returned hollow-eyed, recounting the battlefield. Tense dinners, his father's gruff welcome home. Son, mother's tears soaking his shirt. They know about us. Emily outed it gentle. Said the marriage was a mistake for all. Nicholas held him through the shakes. And, Andrew exhaled. Forgave. Sort of. But the firm's cut off. Starting over. Nicholas kissed his temple. We start over. Together. Summer scorched the city. Their love a cool oasis. Weekends upstate. Not Syracuse but the Finger Lakes' wilder shores. Kayaking till sunset. Andrew sketching lofts on napkins while Nicholas read aloud from new drafts. Echoes evolved. Betrayal arc softening to redemption. Audiences sighing at the lovers' reunion. Mia cornered Nicholas post-show. He's changed you. Softened the edges. Nicholas laughed. Or sharpened mine. But doubt whispered. Was this solid? Or just reconstruction on shaky beams? The fracture came subtle. A client dinner Andrew couldn't dodge. Old firm contacts. Networking over stakes in Midtown. He returned late. Scotch on his breath. Tie loosened. Schmoozing, he explained. But Nicholas smelled the evasion. The polish of half-truths. With who? Ghosts of leverage past. Andrew bristled. It's work, Nick. Survival. The argument escalated. Words weapons. Nicholas accusing capitulation. Andrew defending necessity. You think I want this? Scraping by while you chase dreams. It crested with Nicholas's shout. Better broke than bought. Andrew stormed out. Door rattling the frames. Silence descended. Oppressive as the heat wave. Nicholas didn't chase. Curling with his notebook instead. Pen slashing fury into pages. The architect measures twice. Cuts once with the heart. Days passed. Radio static. Andrew's texts curt. At a friend's. Then nothing. Panic gnawed. Nicholas pacing the fire escape. Scanning streets for his silhouette. On the third night, Mia dragged him to a bar. Shoving whiskey his way. Call him idiot. But pride locked his jaw. Until a knock echoed at midnight. Andrew, drenched from a downpour. Ice stormy. I fucked up, he gasped. Dripping on the threshold. The dinner? Emily was there. Ex-client dinner. Nothing more. But I panicked when you asked. Old habits. Nicholas pulled him in. Towel and tea. Listening as Andrew spilled. The temptation to slip back. The firm's offer dangling like bait. Rejected but rattling his core. You're my foundation, Andrew vowed. Hands cupping Nicholas's face. No more cracks. They forgave in the quiet hours. Bodies bridging the gap. But Nicholas woke resolved. Trust was timber, needing constant tending. Fall gilded the parks anew. Their rhythm steadying. Andrew's freelance blooming into a co-op space. Nicholas's play greenlit for a fringe run. They hosted game nights. Andrew's laugh booming over Monopoly bankruptcies. Nicholas's friends folding him in like family. One crisp evening. Strolling Central Park. Leaves crunching underfoot. Andrew stopped. Pulling a small box from his coat. Not ring, but a key. Etched with ours. Sublet ending. Let's make it permanent. You, me, this mess. Nicholas's throat tightened. The daisy from months back pressed in his script like a relic. Yes, he whispered, sealing it with a kiss as joggers blurred past. The city indifferent to their quiet triumph. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice. Snow muffling the avenues into hushed conspiracies. Holiday lights strung like desperate garlands against the dark. Nicholas and Andrew's loft transformed into a cocoon. Strung with white LEDs. A scavenged tree shedding needles on the rug. the air rich with pine and mulled wine. For the first time, Nicholas hosted his family, Mia and the theater troupe, while Andrew manned the kitchen, apron askew, basting a turkey with theatrical flair. To queer kinships, Mia toasted, clinking cider mugs, and Andrew's grin beamed, the orphan in him finding harbor. But Syracuse's shadow lengthened with Christmas cards. His mother's script shakier, enclosing a check, for the holidays, no strings, and a photo of the lake house blanketed in snow, empty now that Emily had decamped to Boston for grad school. Andrew stared at it long, folding it away with a sigh. She misses me. Even. Nicholas squeezed his hand. Go see her. Closure's a gift. Andrew shook his head. Not without you. We're in this. Yet the pull tugged, evident in his distracted sketches, lines veering off into upstate vistas. New Year's Eve found them on the rooftop, bottle rockets popping distant over the skyline. Andrew's arms around Nicholas as Auld Lang Syne warbled from a neighbor's speaker. Resolutions, Nicholas prompted, breath fogging the chill. Andrew nuzzled his neck. More you. Less fear. They kissed at midnight, fireworks blooming like affirmations. But dawn brought a call. Andrew's father, voice gravel over the line. Heart attack. Come home. Andrew's face drained, and Nicholas packed the bag, driving north through flurries, hand steady on his knee. Family's hydra. Remember, we face it together. The hospital in Syracuse was a sterile purgatory, fluorescent buzz underscoring beeps of monitors. Andrew's father lay pale in the bed, tubes snaking like accusations. His mother frail beside him, clutching rosaries. They eyed Nicholas warily, the friend from the city? But Andrew's grip on his hand silenced questions. Partner, he corrected, firm. The room tensed. Then his mother's nod, tentative. Sit, both of you, hours blurred. Waiting room coffee bitter as regret. Andrew's head on Nicholas's shoulder. Whispers of what-ifs. When the doctor emerged, stable, but changes needed. Relief crashed, Andrew collapsing into sobs that Nicholas absorbed, rocking him like a storm-tossed boat. The estate felt haunted upon return, dust motes dancing in weak sun through the conservatory. Andrew's father, discharged but diminished, summoned them to the study, leather chairs creaking under old weights. Boy, he rasped, eyeing Andrew, then Nicholas. Heard the truth from Emily. Thought it'd break us. Might still. Andrew stiffened, but his father waved a liver-spotted hand. But seeing you too. It's like watching a bridge hold when the river rages. Don't squander it. The absolution landed awkward. American patriarch swallowing pride with his pills, but it cracked the ice. Nicholas murmured thanks, and as they left, Andrew's mother slipped him a locket, Emily's childhood gift, engraved family reimagined. Back in Manhattan, the thaw deepened, Andrew integrating stories of Syracuse summers into his designs, Nicholas weaving family monologues into a new play, Bridges Over Blood. Their love matured, less wildfire, more hearth. Mornings tangled in flannel, evenings debating plot twists over stir-fry. But climax brewed in spring's fever. Andrew's big break, a competition for a queer community center in Brooklyn. Blueprints fusing his precision with Nicholas's narrative flair. We win this, Andrew said, pinning the entry. It's ours, legacy, not leverage. Submission night. They dressed sharp, Andrew in slim chinos, Nicholas in a velvet blazer, and presented to judges in a loft mirroring their own. Slides clicked, elevations soaring with inclusive spaces, interiors echoing with stage dialogues from Nicholas's scripts. Questions probed, viable for families? And Andrew's answer shown, families aren't blood, they're chosen. This builds that. Nicholas's chest swelled, pride mingling with the electric buzz of possibility. At the bar after, toasts flowed, a silver-haired juror clapping Andrew's back. Fresh. Human. But as the night peaked, Nicholas's phone vibrated. A text from an unknown. Tell Andrew. Dad's firm offered buyout. Take it, or lose the competition edge. He deleted it, chalking to spam, but unease slithered. Andrew noticed, pulling him aside. What? Nicholas shrugged. Nothing. Winds in the air. They made love that night celebratory. Bodies arcing under city glow. But Dawn's verdict email shattered it. Congratulations, your design selected. Elation exploded. Hugs. Tears. Calls to Mia, but Andrew's phone rang simultaneous. His father's number. The buyout, he explained post-call. Face ashen. They pulled strings, judges on retainer. It's tainted. Nicholas's gut twisted. Tainted? Or opportunity? Andrew paced. Storming. It's control. Same old chains. The argument ignited. Old fissures flaring. Nicholas urging pragmatism. Use it. Reform from inside. Andrew decrying sellout. You don't get it. I fought to be free. Nicholas fired back. And drag me into your wars? I thought we were partners. Not pawns. Words escalated. Betrayal's echo. Andrew accusing Nicholas of settling. Nicholas hurling cowardice anew. It peaked with Andrew's shove. Maybe we are tainted. And Nicholas's retreat to the fire escape. Slamming the window like a guillotine redux. Days fractured. Andrew crashing at a buddy's. Nicholas drowning in rehearsals. The play's bridge scene now a raw wound on stage. Mia intervened. Fight for it, or lose him to pride. Nicholas nodded. But fear paralyzed. Another aisle. Another abandonment. Emily called then. Voice bridging. He's spiraling. Dad's pushing the buyout as legacy gift. But Andy, he wants you. Go get him. Armed with resolve. Nicholas tracked Andrew to a dive in Williamsburg. Pool cue in hand. Eyes bloodshot. You're here, Andrew slurred, chalking the tip. Nicholas slid onto a stool. Always. Even when you build walls. Andrew's shot went wild. Cue clattering. Can't win if it's rigged. Nicholas stood, taking the cue, sinking a perfect bank. Then rewrite the rules. With me. Andrew's laugh broke. Cue forgotten as he pulled Nicholas into a crushing hug. The bar's haze swallowing their apologies. I panicked. Again. Nicholas cupped his face. We both did. But bridges hold if you reinforce. Reconciliation burned hot. Back to the loft. Barriers crumbling in urgent touches. Andrew's sketches scattering as they reclaimed the bed. No more solos, Andrew vowed, tracing Nicholas's collarbone. Duets only. Spring bloomed fuller. The center groundbreaking a ceremony of shovels and speeches. Andrew crediting my muse, my anchor with a glance that melted Nicholas. Crowds cheered, queer flags waving, and in the dirt-strewn lot, Andrew knelt. Not proposal, but promise. Build this life with me? Nicholas hauled him up, kissing amid flashes. Already am. Yet humanism tempers triumph. Andrew's father passed that summer, quiet in sleep, the funeral a subdued affair of eulogies and estate wranglings. Andrew stood dry-eyed by the grave, Nicholas's hand in his pocket a secret stead. He tried. At the end, Andrew murmured, tossing soil. "That's something. Back south." They scattered ashes on the lake. Emily joining, now friend. Not specter, her toast. To messy families, Nicholas clinked. The water's ripple a metaphor mended. Autumn wove its golden web once more. The city exhaling summer's frenzy into harvest calm. Nicholas and Andrew's life a tapestry threaded with hard-won hues. The community center rose frame by frame, a beacon in Brooklyn's sprawl, glass walls welcoming, interiors alive with workshops where playwrights like Nicholas mentored queer youth, architects in training shadowing Andrew's vision. Evenings found them on the site after hours, hard hats askew, sharing thermoses of soup as cranes loomed like benevolent giants. "This is it," Andrew said one dusk, arm around Nicholas's waist, skyline bruising purple. "Our altar." Nicholas leaned into him, the daisy key locket now a chain around his neck, Emily's gift repurposed. No aisles required. Their love had weathered tempests, emerging not unscathed but stronger, barnacled with wisdom, date nights intentional, arguments aired like laundry, vulnerabilities shared over morning coffee. Andrew's freelance burgeoned, commissions for inclusive homes, lofts with rainbow accents, family suites reimagined. Nicholas's bridges transferred to a modest off-Broadway house. Reviews hailing its tender humanism, audiences lingering for talkbacks on love's architectures. But life's drama persists, unscripted. Winter brought news. Andrew's sketches caught a design mag's eye, a feature profiling the queer architect redefining home. Photo shoot in the loft. Nicholas roped in as muse. Their kiss captured mid-laugh, intimate, unposed. Publication day. Buzz hummed. Shares on socials. Queer outlets praising the authenticity. Yet backlash slithered in trolls decrying agenda. Anonymous emails to Andrew's clients. "Is this the family values you want?" Andrew shrugged it off at first. But Nicholas saw the toll. Late nights redrafting. Coffee-fueled doubts. Climax crested subtle. A family reunion invite from Emily, her engagement party in Boston, to a gallery curator named Theo. The real deal. Andrew hesitated, old scars itching. "They'll grill us." "Make it a spectacle." Nicholas packed anyway. "Spectacles are my stage." "Let's steal it." The train north rattled with nerves, but Boston welcomed soft. Emily's loft overlooking the harbor, aglow with lanterns and laughter. Theo proved ally, broad-shouldered artist with a beard and easy grin, toasting to loves that outlast labels. Emily pulled Nicholas aside. "I sparkling. You saved him." "Us." He hugged her fierce. "We saved each other." The party swirled. Dances to indie folk. Theo's canvases splashed queer joy on walls. Andrew relaxed, regaling aunts with center tales. Nicholas's hand in his a quiet anchor. But midnight brought confrontation. A great uncle, scotch loosened, cornering Andrew, "Heard about your lifestyle. Firm's doors still open if you straighten up." Andrew's jaw set, Nicholas tensing, but Andrew's reply cut clean. "Straight? I'm building straighter than you ever did. Bridges over bullshit." The man sputtered, crowd murmuring, but Emily swooped, redirecting with cake. Later, on the balcony, Andrew trembled. Almost lost it. Nicholas kissed his knuckles. You won. We did. Spring unfurled the center's ribbon cutting. Mayor's speech on inclusion. Youth choirs singing anthems. Nicholas emceeing with wry charm. Andrew's dedication plaque read for chosen families. And as scissors snipped, their eyes met, love's quiet roar amid cheers. Post-event, they slipped away to the high line. Full circle, wildflowers nodding witness. Marry me? Andrew asked. Not kneeling, just earnest. Ring simple platinum with etched curves. Nicholas's yes was laughter tears, pulling him down to the grass. City pulsing approval. Wedding planning unfolded playful, vows in the center's atrium. Suits slim with boutonnieres of daisies. Mia officiating with theatrical flair. Guests spanned worlds. Theater fam. Andrew's tentative kin, mother beaming. Father's absence a gentle scar. Emily as best woman. Theo snapping candids. Vows exchanged under skylights. Andrew's I choose you. Every blueprint. Nicholas's you scripted my heart's home. Rings slid on. Kisses sealed. Applause a cascade. Reception spilled into the streets. Queer brass band parading. Love a public proclamation. Years layered like patina. The center thrived. Spawning sister sites. Nicholas's plays toured. Themes of redemption resonating. Andrew's firm grew. Ethos unyielding. They adopted a rescue pup. Named Gatsby for ironic flair. Walks through parks a ritual of domestic bliss. Conflicts came. Play deadlines clashing gigs. A miscarriage scare with surrogacy dreams dashed. But each mended deeper. Therapy sessions fortifying the frame. Emily's wedding followed. Nicholas best man. Toasting to cousins who become kin. On their 5th anniversary, they returned to Skaneatles, not for ghosts, but grace. Lake house sold, but the shore a touchstone. Picnic under maples. Gatsby chasing sticks. Andrew unpacking a portfolio. Blueprints for an addition to the loft. Nursery sketched soft. Ready? He asked. Hand on Nicholas's still flat belly. Surrogate round 2. Nicholas nodded. Tears salt sweet. With you? Always. Humanism crowns their arc. No flawless ever after. But a mosaic of fractures fired true. Love as verb. Not noun. Built daily against entropy. In the city's ceaseless hum. Nicholas pens epilogues in journals. Andrew drafts expansions on napkins. Their story unfolding. Page by resilient page. Betrayal's echo fades to harmony. The aisle walked not in white surrender, but rainbow stride, proof that even shattered glass, reset, can reflect light anew.